Sunny and breezy, the high at 65. I'm Steve Williams on AM 560, The Answer.
Your next news update is at 7 o'clock. Continuous coverage of news, traffic, and weather at 560theanswer.com. Now more of Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560, The Answer.
This hourly segment is brought to you by On Target Radio. From firearms and Second Amendment rights to personal freedoms and government intrusions. Listen here Sunday nights at 9.
So out of control in terms of the coverage and conversation. It's being so distorted.
Oh, so distorted.
That you look for common sense and restraint wherever you can find it. And, oh my goodness, soccer is making sense. Jurgen Klopp, famed manager of Liverpool FC, was asked a question after a recent mass about coronavirus and whether or not we should even be having these soccer matches. Listen to this response to a reporter.
On a wider question about the coronavirus, are you worried as a team, as a club, about the spread of it or how it might affect you?
Look, what I don't like in life is that a very serious thing, a football manager's opinion is important. I don't understand it. I really don't understand it. Could ask you. You are exactly the same role than I am. So, and it's not important what famous people say. No, we have to speak about the things in the right manner, not people with no knowledge, like me, talking about something. People with knowledge should talk about it and should tell the people, do this, do that, do this, and everything will be fine or not. So, and not football managers. I don't understand that. Politics, coronavirus. Why me? I wear a base cap and have a bad shave. I'm concerned as much as you, maybe less. I'm not sure. I don't know exactly what's your amount of being concerned, but my opinion is really not important. I live on this planet and I want the planet be safe, healthy. I wish everybody the best, absolutely. But my opinion about Corona is not important. If somebody tells me we play football because I think smarter people said we can play football, I will not make the decision.
Please cut that and send it to every actor, and not every actor, but many actors in Hollywood and other people who are conferred some sort of expert status because they have profile. Thank you so much, Jurgen Klopp, which is why on this show we like to talk to people who've actually investigated what's happening, people who are infectious disease experts, and not just, any Tom, Dick, and Harry that has some public profile to get an opinion about how hysterical we should be.
Well, also, we want to introduce you to Tom Panoa. He was the first victim of community spread. So his wife, remember, she went to Wuhan, China to take care of her sick dad. She came back. She was at St. Alexis Hospital in Hoffman Estates, and she gave it to her husband. Well, Tom said this wasn't that. He's fine, by the way, and so is his wife. They've returned to normal life. But listen to what he said about, suffering from coronavirus.
It was less than having the flu for me. I don't know about other people, but I really didn't feel any symptoms other than some minor upper respiratory problem.
And he's back with his family.
Yeah, we there's a lot of anecdotes, and there's data. Of course, people have died. This is not to be. We're not being cavalier about it. This is a serious matter. It affects different people differently. Some people are asymptomatic. Some people have a mild case of it, like that gentleman just described. Other people are deathly ill, particularly, it's the eggshell theory. You take people how they are, and some people are less able to withstand this virus than other people. Immune systems vary. So you try and be sensible about it, but proportional in the response based on the knowledge that we have, rather than running around asking everybody, do you have the answer? Do you have the answer?
What do we do? But, we have a fifth case here in Cook County. The 4 people, Tom, his wife are fine. The other couple from Arlington Heights, they are fine. They are not at Northwest Community Hospital, people. They are in isolation at home. And we do have a fifth, and this is a 20-year-old who flew in from Italy, who they believe was sick on the plane while he came in. I mean, he came from an infected part of Italy. He is in stable condition.
What hysteria does is lead to things like what's happened in Australia, where you have an Australian newspaper printing extra pages of its paper because of a toilet paper shortage.
You know what hysteria is? I just went on Walmart. A bottle of hand sanitizer, Dan, not the big one like we have right here, just an average bottle, $47. So there's price gouging going on.
Well, it's not price gouging.
Well,
it's supply and demand.
Supply and demand.
Yeah,
Excuse me.
that's not
But,
price gouging.
You know, I mean, please.
For more on this topic, we're pleased to be joined by somebody who's been investigating the matter and put together a nice compendium in the New York Times. She is Denise Grady, health and medicine reporter at the New York Times, and her piece compares coronavirus to a number of other viral outbreaks over the last 2 decades, as well as sort of a summary of what we know and some best practices that people can follow. Denise, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
Oh, thanks for having me.
So first, about the comparison in terms of the lethality of coronavirus versus some of the other viral outbreaks of the last couple of decades. You graphed that. You put that data together.
We did, and we especially looked at the thing that is most familiar to most people, and that was the flu. And this seems to be worse than the flu overall. And I guess the one caveat we should make when you talk about this is that it's still happening. It's new. It's still emerging, and all the numbers are not carved in stone. It's a kind of a moving target, and things are changing. But right now, it does seem to be more likely to be fatal than the flu.
But what's the mortality rate? I mean,
if you look at like the seasonal flu, the number of people that die from that can be usually around 0.1%, which is pretty small. And this one looks to be like it's somewhere probably between 1 and 2%, or maybe even say 0.7 and 2%, which doesn't sound like much, but you're getting to something that would be at least 7 times or 10 times or even more times the rate of the flu. Which it still sounds pretty small, but if you get a lot of people who catch it, then you're going to have big numbers.
Well, right. That's 2 points. One, a small percentage of a big number is a big problem, and as is the case with the flu, where I believe the CDC has pegged the number at about 18,000 Americans who've died from influenza between October and present. So small percentage, big number, big problem.
Exactly.
The second thing, though, and you sort of referenced this, but I just want to be explicit about it, we don't know what the denominator is. And so the lethality rate, as you were suggesting, is a moving target because we don't have a denominator.
Right, and we don't know how many people have it. There are a lot of people out there that have infections that they don't even know. Either they don't have symptoms or it's so mild that they never even call the doctor. I mean, we just don't know that yet.
Well, what about children? I mean, I keep hearing that children, that not a lot of people who have the coronavirus are children. Do you know why that is?
That's right. If there's any, if you could call it even a silver lining here, that does seem to be the case. Nobody understands it, but they're not finding a lot of kids or kids that get very sick, and nobody knows why, which is very different from the flu, because there's always real concern about very small kids and babies getting very sick from the flu. And this year, in fact, the hospitalization for kids has been fairly high from the flu. So this at least does not do that, and nobody really knows why yet, but they're just not seeing it in kids. You
also looked at comparison with respect to contagiousness, the R naught factor, as it's termed, how many infected people infect others with coronavirus as compared to other viruses.
Yeah, and this does seem to be more contagious than the flu. It looks like people infect around 2 people, on average, maybe each person infects more than 2 people. And with the flu, it's a little bit more than 1 person. So it does seem to be more contagious. And that is another one of those numbers that is not carved in stone, and if you start using all of your public health measures to try to get people to be careful, you can actually lower that number to less, and once you get that number less than 1, then you stop an outbreak.
I watched CNN's town hall last night on the coronavirus crisis with the shocking music, and they had a woman on from the World Health Organization who said, guys, this can be contained. I mean, we just, we can control the spread of this. You just have to do simple things, but yet people are still out there. There was one nurse in New Hampshire. They told her to stay home because she had the coronavirus. She felt fine. And she goes out to a fundraiser at Dartmouth University for the business their annual business party. I mean, what?
She's probably a Yale grad.
Exactly.
Sabotage.
But I mean, why aren't people taking this seriously? I still see people coughing into their hands and then touching things. How long does it live on the surface, and when are people going to get the message?
The living on the surface, the numbers are so all over the map that I don't know what to make of them. I mean, it does live on surfaces, but the numbers range from hours to days. Why some people get the message and some don't, I'm going to be like your soccer guy and say, boy, I sure don't understand. Don't ask me about the human behavior. Some people are think they're immortal, or it's just not going to happen to them. Denial is a big thing.
Well, also, too, I mean, you're sort of describing it's a bit of a moving target. Yesterday, the World Health Organization saying cash could spread the virus, so try not to handle cash, or when you handle cash, wash your hands right after. I mean, I understand that's sensible, but you don't think of like every single thing that you have to, take a Purell shower after. Your people just aren't used to behaving that way.
No, and the thing that I think about too, and a lot of people I've talked to think about, is how much of our lives now are run by touch screens. When you go to the bank, or even you're buying food or all kinds of things. And you can make yourself pretty crazy with all of that.
Oh, yeah. I mean, the only way I've talked myself off the ledge is talking to people who actually have the coronavirus right now and seeing that they're fine. I mean, most people recover from this, and most people don't need to be hospitalized, correct?
That is how it seems, but I wouldn't blow it off either, because there are people who are very sick, and even some of the people that are considered to be relatively mild still can have a pneumonia. So I like I said, I wouldn't panic about it, but I wouldn't just blow it off either. It's, for a lot of people, it's not like having the common cold.
In your piece in the New York Times, you sort of reiterate what we've heard from infectious disease experts about how to treat this with antiviral therapies and, of course, a vaccine pending. And it sounds very much like treating the flu in terms of best practices, except if you experience, significant respiratory problems, and you should go to the hospital. But you talk about fluids and pain relievers and that sort of thing.
Yeah, that is what's all you can do right now, because we have a flu vaccine and we have antiviral medicines for flu, but we don't have no vaccine for this, and no medicines that are specific for it. And the most important advice that I've heard is that if you are short of breath, you've got to go to the hospital. That's something that you can't ignore, and that it's not smart to wait if you start feeling short of breath.
And if you get the coronavirus, then are you immune to the coronavirus after that?
The thinking is that you probably are, because with most viral illnesses, you do get some immunity after you recover. But how long that lasts, nobody knows. This one is too new. There are things, other viral diseases like, say, measles, where it's thought that your immunity lasts for decades, maybe, for life. But with some of these other viruses, it's just not clear how long it lasts.
She is Denise Grady. She's the health and medicine reporter at the New York Times. Denise, thanks so much for joining us. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
And she joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
It's what Chicago is talking about. It's Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy on AM 560. The Answer.
The Lou Dobbs Financial Report is brought to you by Signature Bank, helping local businesses succeed. Visit signaturebank.bank for your commercial banking needs.
I'm Lou Dobbs. The Senate passes an $8 billion funding bill to fight the coronavirus. ExxonMobil reacting to declining energy demand, and the FDIC offering buyouts to employees. Those stories next. In a recent survey, investors shared what they felt were the greatest threats to their retirement. It's no surprise the most common threats include stock market volatility, economic uncertainty, conflict in the Middle East, the 2020 presidential impeachment and election. Unfortunately, there are many threats beyond your control that can affect your retirement savings. At Goldco, a leader in precious metals, the team believes one way to protect your investment portfolio is with physical gold and silver. Goldco has helped thousands of investors safeguard their retirement, especially in times of uncertainty. In fact, if you call 855-971-2006. Goldco will send you a free 1-ounce silver American Eagle coin. And all you have to do is pay for shipping and handling. No obligation. 100% free. Call 855-971-2006 to get your free silver American Eagle coin. That's 855-971-2006. On a 96-1 vote, the Senate easily passed more than $8 billion of emergency funding to fight the coronavirus outbreak. The measure, already passed by the House, supported by President Trump. The federal task force, headed by Vice President Pence, wants more testing facilities, more test kits, as well as additional preparations in advance of any wider outbreak. ExxonMobil says it will reduce its number of oil rigs and may also trim capital expenditures in reaction to lower demand for energy. Exxon executives warn the coronavirus outbreak is likely to sap energy demand around the world. The FDIC says it's offering buyouts to about a fifth of its workforce as it moves to trim and make more efficient the agency. Please join me for Lou Dobbs tonight, 7 o'clock and 10 Eastern on the Fox Business.